A white supremacist website is reportedly planning an armed protest in the state of Montana. Now, this would be the publisher of the Daily Stormer wrote to supporters that they were planning an armed protest in the town of Whitefish, Montana, according to a local station, ABC Fox Montana. Now, the website, of course, Daily Stormer, previously claimed that Jewish people in the town of Whitefish were harming the business of prominent white supremacist Richard Spencer's mother, who, by the way, might be the so-called alt-right guy who is touring across the country right now. The message says Montana has extremely liberal open carry laws, so my lawyer is telling me we can easily march through the center of town carrying high-powered rifles. And of course, it continues. Currently, my guys say we're going to be able to put together about 200 people to participate in the march, which, remind you, they've got guns. This march will be against, quote, Jews, Jewish businesses, and everyone who supports either.
This is also maybe the first time the words liberal and Montana were used in the same sentence. It was describing their carry laws, though.
Yeah.
Actually, there are a lot of college towns in Montana that are pretty progressive, but
yeah, but there you go.
Side note.
Side note, indeed. Now, Montana outlet The Missoulian reported that the Daily Stormer offered to call off the march if certain demands were met. So here they go. They're threatening to walk down the streets, all with guns, and then say, well, don't worry, we'll call off our armed parade if you meet our demands. Now, I don't know what those demands are, but I can assume it's, hey, Jews, get out of town. Again, they're not exactly friendly towards Jews. Look, okay, so on this, look, you guys know I support free speech, and I support the right to demonstration. However, since this march is going to be against Jews, Jewish businesses, and those who support either, I'm not in favor of that, simply because I'm also not in favor of armed marches against blacks. I'm not in favor of armed marches against Hispanics. I'm not really in favor of armed marches. People going around essentially intimidating others with guns. Okay?
Right, and what you just described isn't protected by the First Amendment anyway. I mean, that would be construed as inciting violence, as fighting words, and that's like how they define it in like the First Amendment laws. So, I mean, that wouldn't be protected speech anyway. So it's not even a free speech issue.
Yeah.
It becomes a safety issue at this point.
If it were a free speech issue, like, for example, we just did a story on the Klan. If the Klan wanted to do a peaceful, non-armed march through the streets, I would despise it, and I'd be like, hey, man, if they're not causing an issue, go ahead. I mean, look, like the ACLU, for example, they've had to defend the Klan from attacks when they've wanted to do peaceful marches and peaceful rallies. I don't like what they do, but I agree that they do have the right to be able to do it. This seems a little different. This seems like it's something that is a little bit more menacing, a little bit more meant towards intimidation, towards the Jewish community of Whitefish, Montana. Look, I don't know how many people that are Jewish are there, but I can assume it's probably a minority within a very small town or a very small area. So you've got, these people that are probably coming from out of state, bringing their guns, and going and basically terrorizing this small minority of a community. So I'm not at all comfortable with that. But this is where we're at here. We've got racists and anti-Semites that are now emboldened, and of course, this isn't helped by the media. I gave the example of one of the mainstream outlets doing a profile on a white supremacist and calling him the dapper white supremacist because he looks different than the normal white supremacists that we have. They actually look, I don't know, they look like regular people now, so we should actually take them seriously. And I have a huge, huge problem with that. All this is that the same, like the white, the alt-right stuff is basically the same old white supremacy with a newer, friendlier face.
Mm-hmm.
Big problem.
And yeah, I mean that's a bummer what's going on in Montana. And I mean, I guess, hey, look, I hate to, I don't mean to generalize or get geopolitical here, but you know what? There's when you live in a place that has like 10 and a half months of winter, there's a little more likely craziness is going to go on. You need seasons. It's not meant for people. I don't have any science to back that up, but I do feel that way.
Well, for me, living in a place that has a lot of winter, uh, I disagree with that.
You have a lot. You don't have 10 months of it. It's not like snowing in August in Michigan, is
No,
it?
not no.
All
But
right then.
there's still a lot of snow here. We do get dumped
Oh,
on.
I
We
know.
got
I
these things
know.
called lake effect. Look it up. A lot of
I've
lake
heard of
effect
it.
snow.
I've heard of it. I think it's just a Chinese hoax, but I've heard of it.
But oh, okay. So how do you explain Alaska? Oh, never mind. Alaska. Alaska elected Sarah Palin. Never mind. Never mind. Look, man. Here's the thing. Like every time, like we've seen this coming a mile away. Every time you open up that box of racism, where they go after the first, they're going after the Mexicans, and they start going after the black people. Obviously, you're gonna end up having anti-Semitism pop out of that box. So, and already, look, during the campaign, for example, we've seen Jewish journalists that have been targeted. Um, Hell, you've had non-Jewish journalists and people in the media also be targeted by some of these people. I mean, for example, I've got outright folks, right, that are calling me a Jew on Twitter, which I find is actually kind of amusing because, for one, I'm a staunch atheist. I don't believe in any of your crazy religions. And I also have I have an Austrian heritage stretching back into the Middle Ages. I've seen my family tree. So, and look, number two, if I was a Jew, why would that be a bad thing? I don't see the problem with it. I don't understand
Because
anti-Semitism.
these people are anti-Semites, Jeff.
But I don't
That's
understand. It makes no sense. Like,
right.
okay,
To
but
most
why would
people,
you
it
be?
doesn't, but to anti-Semites, it does.
But why it doesn't make any sense. It's like, why do you hate these people? They've done nothing to you. It makes no sense. I'm
Hey, man,
sorry.
I
I'm
can't
baffled
wrap
by
my head
hatred.
around it either, but it's
Okay, look. So some of the charges, right? Against the Jews, they control everything. They control everything. Okay, so are you going to be mad that they're successful? All the Jewish bankers, they control all this stuff. So you're mad at their success at banking because they're good at it? Well, that's actually a racist generalization. Not all Jews are good at banking, but that's the stereotype, right? And that's what these anti-Semites run off of. Like, oh, they control everything. They're conspiracy. They're conspiring
yeah, they
and all
have
this
those
stuff. And
crazy
yeah,
conspiracies.
and it's like, so you're basically mad at success then. Okay, that doesn't make any sense, but okay. Wait a minute, I thought you white supremacists claimed that you were superior, you were the superior race. What happened? If you're not in charge of everything, well, then you're not
You
exactly the
just
most superior, are you?
yeah,
Are
you
you
just
saying that
found a
you were
hole, man.
inferior to the Jews and that's why you're angry at the Jews? I'm just trying to understand. I'm just trying to understand because this makes no fucking sense to me whatsoever. So
You just found a hole, man. Good for you.
it makes no
As
sense.
if as if there weren't any before. You found another hole.
I poked another hole in the theory.
No,
But if,
man. Hey, that's a pretty good one. It's like, okay, you guys believe these goofy ass conspiracies that the Jews are controlling everything, they're in on everything. But according to you, the white wasp or whatever it is that they, I mean, it's like an Anglo-Saxon white. You
whatever,
guys
man.
think that you're superior to everybody else. Well, clearly, according to the theories you believe, that's not the case in practice. So what's going on? Why aren't
I,
you guys running everything? Why aren't you guys controlling the media and the banks?
in fact, there are a lot of white people that control a lot of things.
Well,
But
yeah, I mean, of
they
course there are,
missed.
but
They kind of missed that whole thing. It doesn't.
right.
Again, it doesn't make sense. Now, and if you if you want to talk about like there's real anti-Semitism and then there's not, right? Um, the problem, like one of the problems that I see is like if you criticize the government of Israel, then immediately anti-Semit, you're an anti-Semite, right? Which isn't necessarily true because you can separate Jews and the Jew in the government of Israel, because they're not the same. What the government of Israel is doing right now, building illegal settlements in Palestinian territory, yeah, and then doing basically what is an apartheid state, that is wrong. You can call that out. Saying that does not make you anti-Semitic. Saying that Jews run the entire world and that they're horrible people, that is anti-Semitic. So there's a difference here. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent, non-corporate media, go to our Patreon page and become a patron. Patreon.com/TYTNation.